Good day, boxing fans. Friday night at Emperor's Palace, South Africa's junior bantamweight Ricardo Malajika will be defending his IBO belt against the British and Commonwealth champion Marcel Braithwaite. Braithwaite's got a record of 16 wins, 3 losses and 1 draw, but only 1 knockout. So there should be no reason for Ricardo Malajika to worry about the power of Braithwaite, should there? Or perhaps should he? Stick around and let's break down the fight. Saturday night at Emperor's Palace, we see Ricardo Malajika finally being the main attraction. There is no Kevin Lerena and no Roux for a change, but Malajika deserves to be in that spot because he's come along in leaps and bounds. He's ranked number 10 in the world by BoxRec now, whether you recognize the IBO as a world title or not. He has become an operator at a world-class level now. Now Malajika is 12-2 with 9 knockouts. So he's had a big amateur career, he's been moved fast, but he battled at the beginning to fulfill his promise. He got knocked down, he struggled against Ngobe Mkhize, and he suffered 2 losses along the way against Sabelo Ngebenyana and more recently Sekon Ngotole. But he's recovered from that last loss of his. They were both points losses, and from his last loss, he's really taken a few steps up. He stopped the dangerous Filipino Adrian Larasan. I was ringside for that. And in his last fight, he won this IBO belt that he will be defending against a tough Argentinian, Kevin Luis Munoz. And I've been really impressed with how Malajika has progressed with Fusi Mtolo, his trainer. In the beginning, you could always see there's good hand speed, good speed of foot, there's some power, and you could see that the talent was there. But the fundamentals, in my opinion, were poor. You know, he kept switching between southpaw and orthodox. He kept throwing himself off balance. There were a lot of fundamentals, the basic things in boxing that weren't there, although the talent undoubtedly always was. But that has been ironed out. Gone is this constant switch hitting. He now settles mostly in an orthodox stance. He boxes well behind the jab. Hand speed, foot speed, he's got those things. And in his fight against Larasan, he worked behind the jab. And then eventually, when he hurt him, he took him out. And against Munoz, who wasn't going anywhere and kept pushing, the jab once again won him the fight. And he popped him with a right. And he threw a combination whenever he could. And he got out of the way. Now, we're looking at Marcel Braithwaite. Now, he's now the Commonwealth and the British champion. He also had a sort of a topsy-turvy career. Early on, he lost to a journeyman with 48 losses. And then he lost to Sonny Edwards, which is no shame. We, of course, in South Africa know Sonny Edwards. He's a guy that beat Maruti Mtalane for the world title. And in the Sonny Edwards fights, he lost on points. But that's why I say it's strange that he only has a single knockout, because during that fight, he caught Sonny with a right hand straight from hell, right on the button, followed up with a left hook when Sonny was already toppling, and he knocked him down hard. But then he couldn't finish him. Now, we know Sonny Edwards is a tricky operator, but he just couldn't find the punches to do more, and he lost on points. And in his fight, his last loss was against Jay Harris. It's another Brit that we know quite well. He gave the WBC flyweight champion, Julio Cesar Martinez, a very good argument a few years back, and that was in 2020, and Braithwaite lost to Jay Harris. And in that fight as well, he landed a couple of big left hooks on Jay Harris right on the button. You could see there was sauce behind those left hooks, but then he couldn't find the punches to put him away. So I think that was the problem with Marcel Braithwaite from a bit of footage of him that I could watch. He has 2 styles. He either has his hands up and he sort of bores in, and he is accurate, and his offensive technique is sound, and he throws his shots, but he throws 1s, 2s, or 1-2. but he struggled to get offensive momentum going. And then sometimes when he's on the back foot, you know, he's got that style of the hands down and sort of turning his body this way and that way, but he forgets to throw. So that, I think, was Marcel Braithwaite's problem. And now in his last fight, he stopped Ijaz Ahmed for the British and Commonwealth titles after they fought to a draw. Good performance by him, and I could see, just like I've seen Ricardo Malajika improve over fights, so I have seen Marcel Braithwaite. I can see improvement in him as well. And he's definitely throwing more punches now, and he's settled on a style. He seems to be more of an aggressive type of fighter, and he throws more punches, and I think that's what led him to eventually get that knockout over, or that stoppage over Ahmed. And I think Braithwaite is definitely an improved fighter. What I have seen with Marcel Braithwaite is he's a hooker. He likes for hooks, uppercuts. He's not a jabber. And also, he's a sucker for his opponent's jab. And Sonny Edwards is a sucker for an educated jab. He'll slip some jabs, but if you know how to vary the jab, if you're quick with it, like Sonny Edwards, he's going to eat those jabs. And Ricardo Malajika was very good on that left stick against Munoz last time out. But there's another thing that Malajika must watch out for, I think, is when he opens up. You know, he can sometimes go a bit too far forward, and he can maybe stand in the pocket a little bit too long. He relies on his speed, so it's bop, and he settles into his boxing mode again. So he's going to have to watch that, because every time Marcel Braithwaite caught guys like Jay Harris and Sonny Edwards, you know, you don't just knock Sonny Edwards down if there's nothing on it. And he let them off a hook. I think this time around he may not let somebody off a hook, and he's got a sneaky sort of thing about him. It's a weird rhythm. The shot comes when you think it's not there. Because if I look at the way he's built, he looks like one of those fighters, a bit like Mayweather, that's got a longer reach than you would say he would have for his height. He's 5'2". I will only see them at the weigh-in tomorrow next to each other, so I don't know who's got the height and reach on who here. But Ricardo is going to have to watch out to keep off the punches, to bring his hands straight back, not leave any window open, because then Braithwaite is a kind of fighter who's going to clock you with something, and he might be more dangerous than his knockout record suggests. But he has fought the better opponents than Ricardo has fought, the likes of Sonny Edwards, and we might argue Jay Harris as well. So he's a dangerous opponent for Ricardo Malajika. I think it's another measured step up for Ricardo, and it's a big opportunity for Marcel Braithwaite. So I think it's a dangerous fight. It's a competitive fight. That's what we want to see as fans, and that's what the fighters need to develop. And Ricardo's got a lot to lose. As I've said, he's number 10 in the world now according to BoxRec. The junior bantamweight is a hot division. And I'm thinking what you want to know from me is who's going to win. You know, I made a huge mistake with Sebastian Fundora against Tim Zhu. I didn't see that one coming, so congrats to Sebastian Fundora. Who do I think is going to win this thing? I think Wayne used to be the cruiserweight. I think Marcel Braithwaite is very live in this fight. He's going to have to keep his work rate up, because if he lets his work rate fall and just throws ones and twos, he'll just get outpointed. He needs to close the gap on Ricardo Malajika, because Ricardo is very uncomfortable against these barging, rough and tumble fighters like in Gebenyana. Even Nemoshungma gave him some trouble at some point. So if you offset his rhythm and you sort of bring out the rough stuff, and you in Ricardo Malajika's grill all the time, working him over, he's uncomfortable. And I think that is the key for Marcel Braithwaite here, is pressure. And for his part, if he catches Malajika, he mustn't let him get off a hook like he did in the past. But I think Marcel Braithwaite has developed, but so has Ricardo Malajika. And I think that jab of Ricardo Malajika is going to be the key. So I think because of that, he's in front of his home crowd, and Ricardo's fitness will be on top. I'm sure Braithwaite's will be as well, but Ricardo is a very hard worker in the gym. He's got a reputation for that. So my pick here is that Ricardo Malajika is going to win this fight on points. I think it's going to be interesting. I think Marcel Braithwaite is going to have his moments. But for me, Malajika wins a competitive points decision. Guys, tell me in the comment section, who do you have in this main event? Will it be Ricardo Malajika or will it be Marcel Braithwaite? So maybe I'm biased because it's a South African fighter, but that's my opinion that I've arrived at after watching the footage that I could watch of Marcel Braithwaite. There's not that much available, so I look forward to that fight. Guys, if you're still watching, please take a moment and just smash that like button. I always appreciate that. And there's a good undercard as well. The Chris Thompson Jean Roux heavyweight clash has unfortunately been cancelled. Roux came down with bronchitis. Apparently he's been declared unfit to fight. Hopefully they can reschedule that at a later stage, because I was really interested to see that fight. There was a lot of question marks hanging over the fight, over both fighters. So I really wanted to see that, but things happen. But we have, in the main supporting bout, we have a South African heavyweight title. You see the heavyweights behind me. Now, nobody's going to confuse the combatants for Ali or Thysse, but I think it's gonna be entertaining while it lasts, and it's a rematch. We've got Keaton Gomes defending his South African heavyweight title for the second time. The last time he defended it against Josh Pretorius after winning it against Chris Thompson. But he is defending it in a rematch against Sean Potgieter. Now, the last time they fought, he blitzed Sean Potgieter out in one round. Sean was never in the fight. I can't even recall him landing much of a punch even. And Keaton took care of business, and he stopped Sean Potgieter in the first round, completely just blasted him out there. So why are they having a rematch? Well, it's hard for a fighter to come back from a stoppage loss like that. So credit to Potgieter and Gert Strydom for actually doing that, because Potgieter went on a roll. He scored a string of wins now. The last one was a stoppage over the same Josh Pretorius. And he's also had a ding-dong with Willem Niebuhr. So he scored, he's on a nice winning streak, is Sean Potgieter. So he's put himself back into this position to be able to challenge Keaton Gomes, who's now the South African champion. Will it be revenge or repeat? Now, statistically, if you look at fighters who lost to somebody by knockout, then in the rematch, they'll lose quicker by knockout. If that's the case, you don't get up at all, because it will be over in seconds. But there have also been historically examples of fighters who have avenged knockout losses. So there's that as well. So it will be interesting if Sean Potgieter can do better this time. So we know Keaton Gomes can stop him, but on the other hand, Potgieter never got going in their first encounter. The danger would be here for Keaton Gomes completely underestimating him. Potgieter hasn't got much to lose here, except pride and not winning the title. But Keaton has got a lot to lose here, and it's got to be hard for him to stay focused and motivated, because now he's fighting the same guy again, So complacency, even how you guard against it, psychologically, it could come in, and that's what Gomes must guard against. Now, who is going to win this one? I'm not too sure, guys. Please share this content among your boxing people as well. I will appreciate that. But I'm going to go with a chalk here, and I'm going to say Keaton Gomes is going to win it again. But I think Sean Potgieter is going to get out of the first round this time. In his last fights, physically, he looks to me in better shape than he was the last time they fought. And I know Gert, he gets his guys in shape. So I think that will make him more durable. And Potgieter will have to bring something new to the table. He'll have to box a little bit more. Now, with Keaton Gomes, I've always sort of felt that he's a 4-5 round fighter, and after that he gets tired. He comes hard, he charges in hard, and then he starts gassing, and then he can be outboxed, like we saw in his 2 losses against the smaller Lebo Mashitwa. But I have seen him also adjust in his last fight against Josh Pretorius, who likes to counterpunch and likes to sit back and make you come to him. In that fight, Keaton didn't go after Josh. He hung back and let Josh come to him, and then caught him like that eventually. So that showed me that Keaton Gomes can adjust a little bit when it's called for. So it's hard to pick a guy who has lost by first round knockout the first match to come and reverse it, but it is possible, and it will be interesting to see. And when guys exchange of Keaton Gomes, is always action, but invariably it doesn't end so great for the opponent. So I think Keaton Gomes is going to do it again. I think he's going to stop Potgieter. I think it's going to be a bit longer, but I'm going with Keaton. Yeah, it's just a gut feel. to win by stoppage in 4 rounds. That's what I'm thinking, but I'm keeping my eyes on Sean Potgieter. I want to see what Gert also can do with him. Then there is a crossroads fight. Brandon Thysse, we know, he's 15-4-1. Yeah, he won the 4 at War junior middleweight tournament. I felt very clever because I picked him to win the whole thing, and he did. And then, he had an international win against Tommy Silvanwanen, and then in a rematch against Roux, a great fight. He lost a split decision. Nothing big about that. Bounced back with a win of dangerous Cristiano and Ndombasi. And in his last fight, he got stopped. He retired him in the corner by by Shavonte Koopman. There's 2 Koopman brothers, Keanu and Shavonte, all these brothers. Shavonte Koopman, who I think is number 1 or number 2 along with Roux. I think most people probably say Roux is number 1. Some will say Koopman is number 1, but they're very close now and they're standing. Roux maybe slightly ahead. But Thysse did get stopped by Shavonte Koopman, and now he's fighting a young prospect who's 8-1. Brandon Thysse has double that amount of fights, and the guy Brandon is facing is, of course, Darren Roux. Also there out of Brian Mitchell, Vusi Mtolo stable. So it's a crossroads fight. It's a big step up for Darren Roux. He had 1 loss against a nondescript opponent, but he's also been through absolute wars. Like I was ringside for his fight against Jacques Chikubu Muvud, and I was ringside for his fight against Jamie Webb. Darren Roux is explosive. He's got heavy hands. He can crack a bit. Sometimes he just slugs it out a little bit too much. He's got a good jab, and sometimes he forgets about it. Now, Brandon Thysse also has a good jab. What is going to happen here, and this is also to me a bit of a pick-em fight. I would have picked Thysse easily if it wasn't for the last fight against Koopman. But now I'm not so sure. It could be that this is a fight that Darren Roux can make a name for himself. It seems he's training well. I think any stamina issues that he may have had will be sorted. But then, Brandon can do a lot of things. He can bang the body. He's got a very good jab. Sometimes, he gets into exchanging a bit too much, and I think that could be his undoing against Darren Roux. If he's going to exchange with Darren too much, then it's not going to be good for him. If Brandon boxes, uses his reach, if he bangs a body and he uses his feet more, I think he should be the guy that prevails here. But it's hard now to know how much the fights against Koopman, against Ndombasi, he won easily on points, but he still took a lot of big shots. The war against Roux. He's been in some tough fights in his career, and he's the tank maybe getting a little bit on the empty side, and Darren Roux is fighting him at the right time, because timing is everything in boxing, not just in the ring, also when you fight people. Promoter Rodney Berman also likes to say timing is everything in that sense. So this is a difficult fight for me. So tell me in the comment section, do you have Darren Roux? Do you have Brandon Thysse? I've had Brandon now the last 2 times. I thought he was going to win the rematch against Roux. He came just short by a whisker, and I thought he was going to prevail against Shavonte Koopman. I wasn't too sure about that, but you got to pick a side. Is Brandon Thysse going to keep his career alive here against Darren Roux? He's got the experience. He's got the higher level of opposition. There's no doubt about that. But I just like the fact that Darren Roux seems to have settled in his training, and I'm going to go for Darren Roux here to upend Brandon Thysse in this one and get the victory. I think it's going to be a close fight, and I think Darren Roux is going to have to show us something different. He shouldn't go and make it a slugfest like he did against Muvud. He's got to put pressure, and he's got to slug, but he's got to be careful about how he does it. He can't go 1 for 1 with Brandon, unless his power really is something. So I think I'm going to stick my neck out and say Darren Roux prevails on points in a close fight, a 2-pointer maybe. That's what I think. And that's it. So guys, remember to tune in on Super Sport Friday night for the boxing. It should be a good evening of pugilism. I will be ringside there at Emperor's Palace. If you see me, feel free to come and say hello. I always like to meet everybody and chat. And until I see you guys again, remember to keep those gloves on.